Hey, yo, hey, hold it down back there. Y'all gotta be quiet back there. Y'all too. Y'all be quiet back there. All right. All right. So look, the first commandment: you shall have no other gods before me. What can be considered another god? What?
Money.
Money can be considered another god. What you got, BJ? Your phone, of course. What can be considered another god, Lay? Another god. What can be considered another god? Fame. Okay. Okay. What about y'all? Y'all know what can be considered other gods? All right. Another god can be anything.
Food.
Food. Okay. Food. Yep. You can be given into food more than the Most High, right? Clothes. Anything that you put your effort into serving more than the Most High is definitely considered another god. All right. You shall not make unto yourself an idol. Right? You should not make unto yourself an idol. Give me an example of an idol.
Buddha statues.
Like a Buddha statue. All right, so that's a graven image, like after a man, and that people bow down and worship. A Buddha statue is an example of that. You had your hand up? What?
People?
Well, if you worship people, yeah. But at this point, we're still talking about idolatry or worshiping of other gods. But we're talking about now something that's made by man that people bow down and worship. You know what I'm saying? But yes, if you glorify man more than the Most High, of course, that is idolatry, though. Yeah, we're talking about, like a Buddha statue. You know what a Buddha statue is? A little gold statue that's like an Eastern religion where people bow down.
Statue?
Say that again?
Cat statue that be in the nail shops or something?
yeah. If they bow down and worship it, that is considered another god. That is idolatry. Okay? That's idolatry. All right, let me get here because I don't know where our boards is at today. I'll have to find it. There's a room back there. They in the room? Oh, here. Go get them boards real quick. Inside that cabinet. Inside the cabinet. Okay. Give us 1 second. Still hold this up. This translation out here better. Those are definitely other idols, though. A Buddha statue is an example of that. But see, if you was to make anything with hands and start bowing down to it, that can be considering a graven image as well, right? You shall not misuse the name of you shall not misuse the name of Yahuwah your Elohim. You shall not misuse the name of Yahuwah your Elohim. So how can we misuse the Most High's name?
Where you didn't do something and you actually did do it.
Right, swearing that what? Say that again.
Swearing like you actually, like you did do something. Like you said you hit somebody, and you said you swear that you didn't do it, and you actually did do it.
Yeah. So swearing in the Most High's name, something falsely, is misusage of His name. Yeah. Making a vow and not upholding it, because when you make a vow, according to the scriptures, you will make it in His name, and when you make a vow in His name, that's the misuse of His name. If you don't uphold that vow, yeah. So that's how you misuse the Most High's name. Now, right here, it's showing her using some type of foul language while in traffic, probably road rage or something like that, where she's mad somebody cut her off while driving. That's bad, but it's not necessarily talking about that, though. Okay? All right, so you should not misuse the name of Yahuwah your Elohim. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. How can we keep the Sabbath day holy? I want to ask, how can we keep the Sabbath day holy? You know what I mean to keep the Sabbath day holy? It means to, all right, so,
What we're doing right now.
Yeah, what we're doing right now, like, coming to congregate, keeping your time on the Sabbath day to the Most High. All right, so it's not like any other day, like how you may watch, certain TV shows on a regular day. On a Sabbath, you want to watch shows that deal with the biblical stories in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like maybe watch Joseph King of Dreams, or maybe watch VeggieTales. I don't know how many of us know what VeggieTales is.
I know that is.
You know what it is?
I do.
You don't watch VeggieTales? Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. Little Isaac, shows like that deal with the Bible. So those type of things, and even movies, not just cartoons, but even movies. What you got?
So only on the Sabbath day we can watch nothing else but the stuff that shows more about the Most High.
Yeah, you only want to keep your focus on dealing with the Most High. It's best to that's one of the ways you keep the Sabbath holy. We control what you watch, so you don't want to be putting certain other shows. You don't want to watch certain other shows that have nothing to do with the Most High. All right, you want to be watching things that pertain to the Most High, that pertain to the stories in the Bible. All right, whatever that may be, it's different. There's so many stories in the Bible. Whatever that may be, or if it's regular cartoons that teach you to use the Bible, like little Isaac is not always necessarily like it's always talking about the Most High and stuff like that, but it's not a story like Joseph King of Dreams or the Moses story, But he still, talk about the importance of living righteously. All right, so you want to definitely uphold that. Okay. Honor your father and mother, so that you may live long in the land Yahuwah your Elohim is giving. Honor your father and mother. How can we honor our father and mother?
By giving by doing what I say.
By doing what they say. What else? How can we honor our father? I want to get something.
By taking care of them.
Say that again.
Taking care of them and stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Taking care of them. What you got? I want to get some of them. I know you answer all the time. What you got, Aiden? How can we honor our father and mother, Aiden? You don't know? Okay, BJ, how can we honor our father?
So, when they ask us to do something, don't disobey them. Do it.
Do it, right? How about keeping our father and mother with a good name? So what that means is being on our best behavior when we're not around our father and mother, right? All right, so when people see us, they see that our father and mother taught us something, taught us how to operate and be on our best behavior. Okay? How about that? Y'all understand that? Okay. So honor our father and mother, right? You shall not murder. You shall not murder. All right? Daquan, what is murder?
Murder when you don't like someone that said to you and you decided to get a weapon and shoot them, that's considered murder.
That's considered murder, right? What about if somebody approached you with a weapon and then you end up harming them to the point that they die? Is that murder?
That's self-defense.
That's called self-defense. So we can defend ourselves. Okay? We can defend ourselves. All right, just letting y'all know. So you shall not commit adultery. You shall not commit adultery. All right, so what is adultery, BJ, for a man?
Divorcing his wife for no reason and and then getting another wife.
And then getting another wife. Only way he can divorce his wife is if for the cause of fornication. Okay. All right. Here's another way. A man lays with another man's wife. All right. That is divorce. That is adultery as well. All right. What about for a woman? What is that for a woman?
When a woman sneaks out of her marriage and sleep with another man,
Right.
that committed adultery.
Right. Right. That is committing adultery. Okay. So that is committing adultery. Right. You should not steal. You shall not steal. Here you have a young woman that is putting something in her purse, putting candy or whatever food in her purse, and looking to see if a store clerk is watching. Right? What should she have done? She should ask. She should ask. She should ask. Is it okay for a poor person to steal?
No,
No, it's not. There is no exception.
She could have asked the people at the front, can she just grab the stuff because she don't have no money.
Absolutely. That's what she should have did. Right? Doesn't matter if they poor or not. That doesn't give them the right to steal. Okay? You should not give false testimony against your neighbor. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. All right, what does the word neighbor mean?
Family.
Family. Family, right? So it's not necessarily always talking about somebody living next door to us. It's not talking about that. But here it's showing that, but it's not necessarily talking about that. It's talking about family. All right? Family, and let me give an example of what type of family it could be. It could be a father and a son. Example, David sinned, and it was prophesied to him that his neighbor, it was told to him that his neighbor would be with his wives, and it ended up being his son Absalom. So that ended up being his neighbor, right? So you should not give false testimony against your neighbor. You should not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. What does it mean to covet?
Stealing somebody's stuff. Stealing somebody's stuff that's better than yours. Saying like
Coveting can lead to that. What is coveting, Baron?
Coveting means to lust after someone's possession.
So lust after somebody's possession, then it can lead to stealing. It can lead to murder, right? Because if you want somebody's possession, you end up killing them, then taking their possessions, all right? Which end up being stealing still, right? So, but ultimately it becomes idolatry. Idolatry. And it's because you value that possession more than you value the Most High, who told you not to covet after your neighbor's possessions, not to steal. Right? So that becomes idolatry at that point. All right? So that's the Ten Commandments. Now let's talk about, we're still talking about our kings. Let's talk about King Ahaziah. All right? Do you remember, some of y'all probably wasn't here. BJ, do you remember who King Jehoshaphat is?
yeah.
Who is King Jehoshaphat?
He
Just
was
name some stuff that you might not remember everything. Just name what you know.
the northern tribe.
Huh?
He is the northern tribe king.
Nope. Who is King Jehoshaphat?
He is a southern king.
Right? And what do you know about him besides that?
He wasn't righteous.
He was very righteous. One of the most righteous kings to touch Israel. One of the most righteous kings over the southern tribe of Israel. All right? All right, so King Jehoshaphat, just to give you a rundown, was a righteous king during a time where northern and southern Israel was split up, right? So when it come to what am I trying to say? Jehoshaphat was a righteous king in the southern kingdom of Judah. He had many sons, as we're gonna show, and he left his kingdom, which we went over last time. I think we talked about King Jehoram. You remember King Jehoram? He was Jehoshaphat's son. What do you remember about Jehoram?
The son. He's a son.
I know that already. Name something that I didn't name yet. remember who King Jehoram is? Oh, you don't think so? Okay. Okay. So King Jehoram ended up having sons. He was an unrighteous king after Jehoshaphat, right? King Jehoram, and he ended up dying because of his unrighteousness. The Most High killed him with a disease to his bowels. All right, I'm gonna read it real quick. Then we're gonna go off into King Ahaziah, which is his son. And it says, what King Jehoram did is after Jehoshaphat died, Jehoshaphat left him an inheritance and left his sons an inheritance, but he made Jehoram the king because he was the firstborn.
Right.
Jehoram kills all his brothers, which is Jehoshaphat's sons. Right? After he kill them, the Most High tell him this. This is 2 Chronicles 21 and verse 12. Just listen up, y'all. And there came a writing to him from Elijah the prophet, saying, so Elijah the prophet is writing King Jehoram, saying, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim your father, because thou hast not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat thy father, nor in the ways of Asa king of Judah, but hast walked in the way of the kings of Israel, and hast made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to go a-whoring, like to the whoredoms of the house of Ahab, and hast slain thy brethren of thy father's house, which were better than thyself. Behold, with a great plague will Yahuwah smite your people, and thy children, and thy wives, and all thy goods. And thou shalt have great sickness by disease of thy bowels, until your bowels fall out by reason of the sickness day by day. All right, so he killed them with a sickness. This is King Jehoram. Right? Pay attention, y'all. Hey, yo, pay attention up here. He killed them with a sickness. All right, so now that he's dead, King Ahaziah is the king now, his son. All right, so we're going to pick up at 2 Chronicles 22. And I'm going to read the first few verses here. Let me see. It says, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ahaziah, his youngest son, king in his stead, for the band of men that came with the Arabians to the camp had slain all the elders. So Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, reigned. 42 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri. So Ahaziah's mother was the daughter of a northern kingdom king. His name was Omri, right? And her name was Athaliah, which we'll talk more about later. And it says, he also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother was his counselor to do wickedly. All right, so his mother was his counselor to do wickedly, Ahaziah. So you can imagine that Ahaziah was an unrighteous king. All right, yo, you got to be quiet. Okay, pay attention to. Ahaziah was an unrighteous king because he had his mother as his counselor, and he also had the counselors of Ahab. All right, y'all remember Ahab? Who was Ahab? Northern kingdom king, right? And who was his wife?
Jezebel.
Jezebel was his wife, King Ahab. Okay. So verse 5, he walked also after their counsel and went with Jehoram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, to war against Hazael, king of Syria, at Ramoth Gilead. And the Syrians smote Joram, and he returned to be healed in Jezreel because of the wounds which were given him at Ramoth, when he fought with Hazael, king of Syria. And Azariah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to see Jehoram and Jehoram, the son of Ahab, at Jezreel, because he was sick. And the destruction of Ahaziah was of Elohim by coming to Joram. So he shouldn't have went to visit King Joram, because King Joram was unrighteous. King Joram was unrighteous and he got hurt by King Hazael, the king of Syria, right? And so the Most High didn't want, he went down to see King Joram. This is King Ahaziah. I got to make sure I say it right. And that was considered an unrighteous act in the eyes of the Most High, because the Most High did not want them to dwell together, them to do anything together, right? So it says, and the destruction of Ahaziah was of Elohim by coming to Joram. For when he was come, he went out with Jehoram against Jehu, the son of Nimshi, whom Yahuwah Elohim had anointed to cut off the house of Ahab. So Jehu was responsible for cutting off the house of Ahab, right? So he had been anointed king, and he was supposed to cut off the house of Ahab. He was a northern kingdom king, which we'll talk about next week, right? And we'll revisit this too. And he was anointed by the Most High to cut off the northern kingdom king, right? So when Ahaziah went down to go out to war with King Joram, he made an agreement with him to go out against Jehu, right? And the Most High, because he wasn't dealing with neither one of them, he allowed Ahaziah to get killed, all right? So who is King Ahaziah?
He's a southern king.
Southern Kingdom king, and what else?
He was unrighteous, just like
Nope.
He was anointed from the Most High because he kept telling him to.
Didn't you just said it?
I know.
Jehu.
No, Jehu is a northern kingdom king. We're talking about Ahaziah.
Oh, he kept telling the Most High. The Most High kept telling him to slay. You need to cut one of the kings.
No.
Thank you.
King Ahaziah is the son of
Hey, one more
Jehoshaphat.
time. Read it one more time.
I said King Ahaziah is the son of Jehoshaphat. He was an unrighteous king. He was very unrighteous. All right. It says he was 40, verse 2, it says he was 42 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. He only reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. Who was his mother? You remember? It was Athaliah. His mother's name was Athaliah, right? The daughter of Omri. Now, Omri is, remember we read about Omri, he's a northern kingdom king. He also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab. If he walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, was he righteous or was he wicked? He was what?
Wicked.
He was wicked. He was wicked. Ahab was, who was Ahab's wife? Jezebel.
Right.
See?
I was.
Jezebel was Ahab's wife. So now think about it. If he walked in the ways of Jezebel, if he walked in the ways of Ahab, then that means he would be unrighteous, right? So like it say right here in verse 3, he also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, for his mother was his counselor to do wickedly. His mother was his counselor to do wickedly. You see that? So his mother was his counselor to do wicked. Just like Ahab had Jezebel to teach him to do wicked and to lure him to do wicked, Athaliah was Ahaziah's wife, or mother rather, and she was the aid to him doing wickedly. So they have a lot in common, Ahab and Ahaziah. Okay? All right? And so he went down to visit the king of Israel, and this was an unrighteous act because they decided to go out to war against King Jehu, who the Most High anointed to wipe out King Ahab. Right? So Jehu was anointed. You know, when the Most High anoint people, usually he protects them. And so when he anointed him, he protected King Jehu to do his will. And so they went out to war with him, and he overcame King Ahaziah. Right? Let me slide down. Let me show you how wicked Athaliah is. Right? Verse 10. But when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she rose and destroyed all the seed royal of the house of Judah. So her son was wicked, worshiping other gods, breaking all of Yah's commandments. He ruled for 1 year, and she counseled him to do wickedly. So when she saw that her son was dead, she rose up and killed all of the royal seed. All right, when she killed all the royal seed, she started to rule in the land of Israel as the queen. Y'all understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So who's king? Who's Athaliah?
Ahaziah is the daughter of Omri.
Yeah, that's one fact. Who else? What else do you know about Queen Athaliah? What else we know about Queen Athaliah? What you know about Queen Athaliah? All right, y'all gotta pay attention more. What do we know about Queen Athaliah?
Oh, I don't know how to say his name, but
Athaliah.
yeah,
So Athaliah is the mother of Ahaziah.
yeah, I was trying to.
Say that. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. As long as we know. So we have to talk about these kings. I would like to touch on certain details. And what did she do that was unrighteous? And then we'll wrap it up. Pay attention, BJ. What did she do that was unrighteous? Queen Athaliah. What'd she do, Daquan?
She has slept with.
No. She killed all the royal seed after she saw her son was dead. Okay? She killed all the royal seed. And then she reigned as the queen. Okay? All right, so we're going to wrap it up there. All right? So we got our hallelujahs. Anybody want to count for us?
I don't deserve it.
Let Shiloh count. You count, Shiloh. All right, so on the count of, hold on, y'all listen to Shiloh. We're going to do our hallelujahs, our 3 hallelujahs, and we're going to wrap it up, all right? Go ahead, Shiloh. Lead it.
1, 2, 3.
We got 2 more. That's all right, but we got 2 more. Let's blow it off the roof. All right?
1, 2.
Whoa. You got to count with some authority, man. 1 loud with some authority. Loud.
1, 2, 3.
I like that. The next one. Make the next one the best one, y'all. Count loud, Sheila.
1, 2, 3.
Good job, y'all. Good job. Hallelujah. All right. That's the end of our children lesson today. Wrap it up here. Getting ready to come back with praise and worship, followed by today's main lesson. Hope to see you all in class. Hope that you all, whoever's not coming to class, hope you're taking care of your health. And have a blessed Sabbath day. Shabbat shalom.